Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, I want to talk to you guys about the project that we are getting ready to do. And having told you about a little bit about it earlier, I want to make this video so we can all kind of learn about it at the same time. So, in a little bit, after you've watched this movie or this video, if you will, you go down here and you're going to click on this. It says Civil Disobedience Project. And when you click on that, this pops up. And this is the project packet that you're going to have. It says, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws from Martin Luther King Jr. Stand for something because we are doing civil disobedience for our unit. And this is the project at the end of that unit. You're going to be doing a presentation. And in that presentation, you'll be giving a slideshow of information that you'll be doing research on. So you will be doing research and you will be writing a Satomer, but you also get to work with partners. More on that in a minute. So what this is this shows you the rubric that you're going to be scored on for your presentation. I can present about people, events that influenced civil disobedience so that my audience will understand my thesis and evidence. Okay, I've answered all my audience's questions. Slides were prominent and contributed to the helping of the audience understand. Presentation was well practiced. That's what you need for a 4, all the way down to a 0. Another thing you're going to be judged on, graded on, is influence. You will need to write a short summary of your own words of how influential the event, the person, or the thing was that you were studying. Talk more about that in a moment as well. Okay, so you're going to be picking a topic, and I'll show you those in a moment. And you are going to research, you're going to write a Satomer, and you're going to make a slideshow. More on that in a second. You're going to be giving a presentation, and you're going to be getting up in front of the class with note cards in your hand, and you're going to be presenting information to your class, and they're going to be asking you questions. On your note cards, you're going to say what your thesis claim is, state it to the audience. Explain your 3 subclaims, subclaim 1, subclaim 2, subclaim 3. You're going to read your conclusion to the audience. And then you're also going to explain why your person or your event or your thing was very influential on civil disobedience. This, of course, is a grade as well. Your part of the presentation needs to be between 3 and 5 minutes long. You will be being timed. If you're by yourself, the whole thing needs to at least be 3 minutes. If you're with a partner or partners, you need to at least be at 5 minutes. So what is it you're going to be presenting after you've written and turned in your Satomer? Well, you're going to make slides, kind of like what you did for your book report project, but a little different. You're going to have a title slide with your name and the picture of what it is you're talking about. Your thesis slide with just your thesis on it. You're going to have 3 subclaim slides with just your subclaim statement. That's it. Subclaim 1, 2, and 3. And you're going to have a conclusion slide, and you're going to have an influence slide, 1 per team member. I'll show you what I mean. If you click on example, this will pop up. So this is one that I made for a whole different unit, but it's exactly what you need to know. So again, you're going to be picking something on civil disobedience, and I'll give you those topics in a moment. So what you have in front of you is you have the title slide, and it looks like this. Questions, Research, and Satomer by Kurt Morris, China. Title slide. This is just my blue thesis statement. That's it. Just my blue thesis statement from my first paragraph of my Satomer. And pictures that go along with what it is I'm going to be talking about. The next slide is just my subclaim statement, also from my first paragraph. That's it. My question answered in the subclaim. Subclaim 2, that's it. That's the only thing you need on the slide, and pictures to go with it. You guessed it, subclaim 3 statement right here and pictures to go with it. Not your paragraph, not your cetomer, just the subclaim statement, still the first paragraph. Then you have your conclusion, which you'll read to the class. And then you have your influence. Here, I'm talking about the influence that China has on the rest of the world. Now, if you're working with a partner, they would then add their influence slide after yours, and they would talk. If you have a couple partners, the third person would go after the second person is done with their influence slide. Okay, now let's get back to our slideshow, or I should say the project packet. Here's what this looks like. You're going to pick your topic by Friday the 19th. Okay? You're going to finalize your questions by here in your claim. All notes on this date, rough draft and cetomer are due here. Your final paper is here. The rough draft of the slideshow is here. And the whole thing is due on Tuesday, March 3rd, and you will be presenting for the next couple of days. You will get a note sheet. Looks just like this. Here's your what question. Here, of course, you have to use 2 sources, that you're going to find on your own on the internet. You're going to vet them. You've done that many times. And of course, your who, what, where, when, why, and how, and your summary. Of course, your why question, same thing. And your how question, same thing. And you're going to plug it into, when you're done, you are going to plug it in right here to your cetomer. Just like you did with the civil rights, you're going to be writing your own thesis paragraph. Now, this thesis paragraph is important because this is everything that's going to go on the slide. I'm going to be reading about this and this and this. This cetomer is going to be for me, but this is what's going to be made up of your project because the class is going to ask you questions that you'll have to answer from the information from what you've written about. Well, let's go back to what the topics are. Take a look at the topics. And remember, you get to have yourself, or if you choose a partner, or if you choose 3 people, do this with you. And if you choose a partner or you choose 2 other people, so there's 3 altogether, each person will present their slice when it comes to doing the project. So if I'm doing it with 2 other people, I would do the what question, then the next person would do the why question, and the third person would do their how question. Take a look at the topics. Henry David Thoreau, Martin Luther King, Mohandas Gandhi, Rosa Parks, Cesar Chavez, Emmeline Pankhurst, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, Susan B. Anthony, Jane Addams, John Lewis, and Malcolm X. People we've talked about in my class and Miss Art's class. Here are the events. School desegregation, the Boston Tea Party, the Seneca Falls Convention, Brown versus the Board of Education, lunch counter sit-ins, March on Washington, the Indian Salt March with Gandhi, the Montgomery bus strike. And here are the things: the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, Jim Crow laws, civil disobedience, the 19th Amendment, common sense, why women should vote, and the Seneca Falls Declaration of Sentiments. You can only pick one. But if you have a partner, you and your partner will pick that one together. Or if it's you and 2 other people, you'll all pick. So let's say me and Miss Arts are doing a project. And I say Boston Tea Party. And she's like, I want to sign up with Kurt and do Boston Tea Party. So Miss Arts and I would be doing this together. Now don't worry about the questions because I've taken care of that for you. If you are doing people, doesn't matter who the people are, but in the people section, partner 1, here are your questions. Partner 2, here are your questions. Partner 3, here are your questions. So if Miss Arts, myself, and Mr. Louie were all deciding to do Martin Luther King, I would take this set of questions, Miss Arts would answer this set of questions, and Mr. Louie would answer this set of questions. If I'm only doing it by myself, I can pick either one of these three sets to do. If we pick an event, like let's say we go up here and we pick Boston Tea Party. Cool. Well, person one, here's your Boston Tea Party questions. Person two and person three, here are your Boston Tea Party questions. And finally, if you're doing a thing, I go up here and let's say I'm doing Jim Crow laws. Person one, here are your questions. Person two, here are your questions. And person three, here are your questions. Now, after we have our questions and we know our topic, let's say it's the Boston Tea Party, then I'm going to go over here and start on my questions. Now, obviously, if I'm partner one, I'm doing what is the Boston Tea Party? What is the Boston Tea Party? Why was it needed? So instead of saying it, I would say, why was the Boston Tea Party needed? And finally, my third question would be, how did the Boston Tea Party change the world? How did the Boston Tea Party change the world or change history? Now I'm going to do those notes. Don't even need my partners. I'm working on this on my own. Then once all these notes are done and turned into me in the folder, then of course you can plug all this information into your Satomer. Once you've written your Satomer and it's been graded and turned back to you, then you can move on to the final piece, which is making the slideshow. And that's when you and your partners get involved. Now, if you're by yourself, it's pretty simple. I'd say the Boston Tea Party with this information or those pictures. And then I would write my thesis of the Boston Tea Party. And then my first statement of the Boston Tea Party. And my second subclaim statement. And my third subclaim statement. Now remember, the class is going to be asking you questions about this. Okay? Now, if I have a partner, this slide's mine. This slide is Miss Arts. And this slide is Mr. Louie. And they're taking their question and plugging it into the slideshow. And then we would read one of our conclusions. We'd pick the best one of the three of us. And then we'd all would have to put in our influence slide. So there would be three, mine, Miss Arts, and Mr. Louie's. Boom, boom, boom. So this would be a 9-slideshow instead of a 7 if I had two other partners. Okay? Take a look at the dates once more, because these are the dates for everybody. You guys are going to be writing those dates down on your packet when you get it open. Now, the thing I want you to do right now is I want you guys to take a look at these topics. Miss Arts and I are going to give you guys a few minutes, and then you need to decide what topic do you want and if you're going to have any partners. Now, we're going to hand out numbers around the room, and we're going to start calling those numbers. Person one gets to pick, and once it's picked, it's off the table. Person two gets to pick, and once it's picked, it's off the table. And if somebody wants to be a partner, let's say I have number 18 and I really want Henry David Thoreau, but Miss Arts is number 2 and she gets Henry David Thoreau, I could say, hey, Miss Arts, can I do Henry David Thoreau with you? And she'd say, okay, sure. So then she would pick that and I would pick that. And now we both have that. So person 2 and person 18, out of the way, taken care of, off the table. So be listening, because maybe you might want to partner up with somebody, or maybe you can do it by yourself. All right, keep it in mind. You guys have the next several minutes to figure out what you're going to do, and we're going to come around and hand out the numbers very soon. All right, talk to you soon.